Hi, this is Mick Burgess, and I'm now joined backstage at Trillions in Newcastle with Dave Hill from Demon. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Mick, thank you. Yeah, feeling good.
I mean, if you just sort of turn to the making of the Unexpected Guessing, that's, this is the tour. Your first album, Night of the Demon, I distinctly remember the reviews around that time. I remember, hearing, Father Time on the Friday Rock Show.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It got a lot of coverage in Sounds newspaper, Kerrang, what have you. Did you have pressure for the second album, the second album syndrome to make that second record? Yeah.
Not really. I think when you look back, I mean, when you're 30 odd years younger, you just get on with it. You don't know about those things at that point. Yeah. If someone would have asked me when we did Night of the Demon that somebody had told me 30-something years later, which I probably said last time, we'd be playing Night of the Demon into the Nightmare. That's about, people ain't not going to even remember us after a year. We were just doing it with guys playing in a band. Suddenly we were doing an album, and we didn't stop to think about where it's going, what we're going to do, and then we followed on more or less just writing stuff while Night of the Demon was out.
Yeah, so you had plenty of material to sort of go on.
It wasn't like let's stop and, on the other hand, we didn't suddenly stop and become rich and famous. So even though we had some good reviews and everything else, it didn't particularly change our life, our everyday life. As you know what happens unless somebody giving you lots of money and you make lots of money, but then you still pay it back. So we were in a situation where, we did the early recordings with Mike, who had Clay Records, and we did Liar, and obviously he had a link with Carrere. And when we come to do the album, we just did it with Carrere, who obviously got Saxon Rose to 2, blah, blah, blah. And so as soon as we had recorded it, we were writing songs, because that's what we do. So when it came to do it, we said, well, we've got these tracks here, let's go in and record them. And Carrere said, oh, we like these. So there was not this sort of pressure thing.
Did life on the road and that experience of playing the first album live sort of help develop you as songwriters at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I'd worked with late Mal Spoon. Yeah. I'd worked with him anyway. I mean, I sort of grew up with him, and we used to sort of compare notes in the days, taking songs down to what they call Tin Pen Alley in London, knocking on doors to like me music. I remember we were from that era. We used to compare songs on the train, and then we worked together, and we'd written together. It was just we'd grown up seeing each other playing in bands, so most people were having a go at writing music. It was the new thing. So we just progressed into the next album and that type of.
Did you have a master plan when you went in to make the Unexpected Deaths? Because it was a couple of steps on from Night of the Demon.
Yeah, I mean, I always say what we were looking at is an observation, and the things that have a slight sort of unknown to them. So we'd, I think we'd like Don't Break the Circle and The Spell, I think I may have mentioned before, I think people were reading up Alistair Crowley at the time, and I remember Mal, as I say, I was working with, he was a far better reader than me. I don't read many books, but I'm a good listener, and we discovered that Crowley in the 1920s had got a group of learned devil worshippers together, which I think that is actually illustrated, and he supposedly tried to call up the devil, sort of thing. So the spell was 13 faceless disciples in a room froze with fear. Just looking at the Crowley myth, and then Don't Break the Circle followed on, because I think everybody's done it growing up with kids. You have a Luigi board, Christ, I'm going. And then people have messed about with calling things, and I mean, it was just basically, well, what's that all about? So we've written, there was always an angle of unknown. I think I mentioned before, Sign of a Madman was just about the guy who shot John Lennon.
Ah, right.
So and John Lennon was shot at that period.
Yeah.
And somewhere inside a raging storm, and it was just about, that's what that was.
Yeah.
And Have We Been Here Before was, I always used to, I still do these days, have this deja vu feeling that sometimes you go in a room and think, I'm sure I was here. And so basically we wrote about that, and the whole thing just clicked into, there was a little bit of, I think it was more getting away from witches and devils and everything else, and more looking at, well, what is behind this? What what's behind that? And this is the guy who shot John Lennon. What was he all about? Basically, an observation of things that we can't always explain. So I suppose the unexpected guest, and that was also why the cover came about, because when we did the Night of the Demon, there was some guy, I think he was a friend of someone at Career, and he was a photographer, and he went to Highgate Cemetery, got these photos and stuff, and next thing I know, I didn't even see the cover, and I got a phone call, Mike, and he was saying that they've got a cover, and then when that came up, you can imagine, wow, that's it, isn't it? Which was pretty startling. I thought, so that was Night of the Demon, and the same guy did the guest, and I think I remember explaining to him that basically what I've just said to you, it's an observation about things unknown. So I think that's why when I looked at the unexpected guest first was, I thought, well, what is it? And then obviously it's like the bodybuilder's chest with the face.
Yeah.
So
I always found it was quite,
and I looked,
creepy cover.
Yeah, and I thought, it says what we're talking about. What is it? What is? Have we been here before? Have we? It sort of seemed to sum up that particular album.
So were you the main lyric writer?
No, I mean, what I do, like Mal and myself, we work together. I mean, I do melodies, he did. We both did lyrics, and it's always been the same with everybody I work with. I concentrate as well, melody-wise, and we mix things up, and I've done quite a lot with Neil and drummer, and with Ray, guitar player, but they'll tend to come up with riffs and chord progressions. I'll maybe jump in there with the melody and get a lyrical, because I'm always jotting things down that I see. And I think I'll use that one day, and so I've got a book full of ideas,
big book of ideas,
and then one day it comes to light,
So during the recording sessions for Unexpected Guest, did you just record the 10 tracks in the intro and the outro, or did you have sort of leftovers?
No, that was it. I mean, what we did, we actually, Carrera asked us to demo it, because I think we let him hear a couple of tracks, and we like that, and he said, can you demo it? I said, yeah, okay.
Did you not do that on the first one?
No, because it was different, because we weren't signed to Carrera. I'd met Mike, and I gave him Liar. I said, this is a track the band's got. He said, all like this, blah, blah, blah. So he said, why don't you record it on the Clay label? Because in those days, I mean, independents were having the very, very first sort of throws, because as far as I ever knew, you don't make music unless it goes down to London, and that's how it was. And of course, all these independents cropped up, and Mike was one. He said, well, do Liar, let's put it on the Clay label, because we were in silent moment, which I thought was quite funny, because from the Potches, Clay is what they make cups and saucers. I thought, here we go, this is going to be. And so we just did it, and Mike put it out on a red vinyl, we were called Demon, and then that became quite popular, got on one or two of the Sounds type charts, and we had got some more material, which I played to Mike, and then we started recording the album. We recorded the album in Rochdale, Night of the Demon, and we'd done most of it, and then Carrera picked it up. So basically, it was a finished product, and they picked it up. So they just thought, well, the saying in the business is, well, let's throw it against the wall without spending any money. Let's see if it sticks, and it did. It started to stick. We were getting sales in Germany, we were getting sales in France. I thought, okay, it must be the cover on it or whatever, but we didn't do a demo. No, I mean, Mike just said, let's get in, and we did, and then he said, Carrera can take you further. So Carrera, we played the album, and Pete Hinton, who we became friends with, he did the Saxon Wheels of Steel mixes and all that, and he went in and mixed it. And that's when we got the cover of it and his mix. And so basically that was as it was. Whereas I say with the next album, which was Career, they did say, can you demo it? So we demoed. They liked it. Then the studio was booked. We were down at Bray, which was the old Hammer studios, which just happened to be coincident. Because I think Hammer had finished actually doing their things then, and they became little workshops.
Yeah.
And they had a studio there. So, Demon down at Hammer doing The Unexpected Guest was quite a nice little...
The dream team.
Once again, looking back, you couldn't have planned it better. If you wanted to make a publicity story, but it just the studio became available. Down we went, put the tracks down, and
I mean, just going back to the telling of the unexpected guest. I mean, did you notice a big step up in the sort of budget you got for the production and the recording time, the recording quality?
We obviously did Night of the Demon, as I say, on a shoestring. It was thrown against the wall, and Career were not spending any money on it because they were like spending on some of the other acts.
Yeah,
and that was understandable because this album came along into their hands, Pete, and Mike had asked Pete, what do you think of these? And he said, I quite like this, because they were getting on, because of the new wave and all this, they were getting into that sort of, well, Pete Hinton was not particularly Career. And I think he persuaded the people at Career we should take this album on, which was Night of the Demon, so he mixed it, and obviously they're all rather pleased because we started getting airplay all over the place, we started getting sales, and so they were obviously making out of it. But we were then when we did the guest. Yeah, we had a budget then. It wasn't,
Did they give you something for touring as well? Because you had the plans for the more extravagant stage show. Did they give you some backing for that?
Well, they sort of the publishers. We were with Warner's then. Those first 3 albums are still with Warner Brothers. That's forever. 70 years after you're dead, that's copyright of the land. It still annoys me, but anyway. We were better off in the fact what we could go and do. We still didn't have the money Kiss had got or something all of a sudden. We were doing it, what we were trying to do, in this type of place. I'm going to have to do it tonight, running in and out, putting some stuff on, because I've got to try and do something, which we did last night. We haven't
great,
So it was pretty much on a budget and difficult to do in the places we were playing, but it did get better. It started to get better at that point, and we were able to perform it better. And there was help.
The Unexpected Guest was a couple of steps on from Night of the Demon, and as a band you clearly didn't want to stand still musically, you always wanted to take yourselves forward. And I think when it came to the follow-up to The Unexpected Guest, The Plague was not just a couple of steps forward, it was a giant leap forward. Is that what you wanted to do, sort of go into more progressive experimental territory?
We were talking about today in the van, and Neil, the drummer, who obviously wasn't with us then, said, why did you do that? And I said, well, basically, if you want the truth, we'd done The Unexpected Guest tour. The album was in the top 50. We did 2 sellout nights at the Marquee. I've said this so many times. And 2 sellout nights. Freddie Cannon of Career, he's no longer with us. We go to an hotel, the Japanese are in there all taking photos, and he's telling all these tales like here. We sold so many in Eastern Europe that it was all like company talk. And after we'd done the tour, after we'd done 2 sellout nights at the Marquee, and after we were patting ourselves on the back the next morning, because we'd got children and that, we went down the Dole to sign on again. And we looked at each other, because you're led to believe at that point, well, we're in the charts, we've just done a successful thing, this, that and the other. We come back from London, and the cold light of day, we better go back and sign on, because we haven't got regular. So we signed on, and I was saying to the guys this afternoon, where we live, in Stoke-on-Trent, is where you used to sign on there. Next door was a library, and Mal and myself came out, and one of us said, I don't know, we feel like there's a plague around. So what we did, we just walked into the library and looked up the last plague, which was 16 whatever, Samuel Pepys and all references. I think Pepys' reference was he was quite well off. In one statement, there was hundreds of thousands are dying of this plague, one side of the Thames, and he lived on the the nice side, and there's a quote in there, the first I saw, there's a rumour there's some sort of plague the other side of the water, and I thought, oh. Anyway, what we did then, we got a paper, a daily paper, and it was when Lebanon was, so we had fever in the city, which was about Lebanon. The plague is about beginning the madness, tear down the signs. We were angry young men who had been sold down the river type thing. In 3 days we wrote the plague from start to finish, and the order it's always been.
All right.
And that's all it was.
Yeah.
And the career thing was fizzling out a bit for most bands at that point. People were moving on. Career were a disco label really, but they got into.
Yeah.
So I turned around to Mike, and Mike Stoney's still got plague. He says, we've written the plague. What I'd be like, and I played it to him, and I said, we really need to augment this with some bigger sounds and keyboard arrangements to get it where we want it. And long story short, we did it. We got Andy Richards, who was a keyboard player that we knew, in to work with us. We went up to Scotland and Highland Studio in Inverness. 3 weeks. We put it down. And unfortunately, Mike at the time was involved in a couple of things, and he was able to go down to Psalm with Julian Mendelssohn, I think he'd just done Kate Bush and everything into the studio, and we got him to mix it. And when I heard it, I thought, wow, it's that sounds like I wanted to say. Yeah. I mean, the great thing was that he got the Atlantic deal for us in the States. It opened the bigger door, and I think even Record Mirror and people like that will regard it. I read something in there that said, I suppose the plague will be regarded as a classic.
Been talking about what you've done in the past. Now, if we look forward to what you've got coming up, it's been a couple of years since Cemetery Junction.
Yeah.
Have you got any plans for a new record?
We just mixed a live album that we did last year at Bang Your Head in Germany. It's a video, so what we've done, we had to do some editing with the pictures, with the video as well. So we've edited and we've sent back to the German company that did the video. So they've got to line it up with it. But we've done all that, so basically at some point, we're going to release that, because we haven't done a live album for 30 years.
Oh, is it? What, since One Hell of a Night?
The one thing. We haven't done one since. So basically, I think it was time, and the material looks really good, and so that'll be coming out. But we've got other things in the pipeline.
So maybe a new studio album next year, or possibly the year after. Maybe next year is a bit too soon. Well,
I mean, as I say, we'll just see. I mean, there's quite a lot of things. We've got some festivals in for next year. We just had Sweden come in, and Sweden Rock. We're on I think 5th on the Wednesday. We haven't done it for 2-3 years. So that's a great festival, and there's quite a few things in. And as I say, we've got the album. We've got this one to get out. And we're always putting ideas down, so that will follow probably.
Dave, thank you very much. Best of luck with the tour and the short night in Newcastle.
Thank you very much, Ben. Absolute pleasure.